Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the first ever THR Tony's Roundtable with 6 great actresses. Lest you think the Hollywood Reporter covers only Hollywood, we are here on the scene this Tony season and here to talk all about it. And so let me introduce them one by one. To begin with, Best Actress in a Musical Tony nominee Jessie Mueller, Carole King in Beautiful, the Carole King musical. Next, Best Actress in a Musical Tony nominee Kelly O'Hara, Francesca in The Bridges of Madison County. Next, Best Actress in a Play Tony nominee Tyne Daly, Catherine in Mothers and Sons. Next, Best Actress in a Play Tony nominee LaTanya Richardson Jackson, Lena Younger in A Raisin in the Sun. Next, Best Actress in a Musical Tony nominee Idina Menzel, Elizabeth in If Then. And finally, last but not least, Best Actress in a Musical Tony nominee Sutton Foster, Violet in Violet. Thank you guys all for being here. We're very excited to be covering you finally in this way. And so to begin with, I just want to ask, all right, they're excited as well. Okay. All right. So to begin with, I just want just a general question, which is, I wonder if you each remember when you first performed in front of others for whatever the reason, as silly as it may be, and then if there was a moment when you knew that this was sort of the course that your life was going to take. Let's start with you, Tyne.
Because I'm senior, right? Oh my God! I played the Virgin Mary in a pageant at school, and I carried a little baby doll that I loved. It was a black baby doll, but it was my very favorite one. And I painted my fingernails red because I knew that the other Mary was a better part. But it was a pretty good success. And when did I know? I come from an acting family, so I knew nothing but actors and directors and performers. I think when I was about 8, I thought, yeah, this is for me.
LaTanya?
Oh, wow. Well, actually, I was 5, and I was performing at a school where I ended up, Spelman College. It was my Rice Memorial Presbyterian Nursery School in kindergarten, and I was doing This Old Man. And I loved it, and everybody applauded. So I figured then something was in the stars around that work for me. And I went on to, do things at my church that required this old man kind of acting.
Interesting. Kelly, how about you?
This old man, he played one.
Oh,
He
there
played
are
this. I got my thumb. Okay, I got it.
This old man, he played one. There are a couple of things I can think of, but maybe one of the funniest would be that I played Jumbo the Elephant in a Barnum and Bailey circus musical. Adaptation of some sort.
With or without shot.
I actually wore an elephant costume. I was quite chubby. I filled it well. I was typecast. But I was 10, I think, and I played a little British elephant coming to the circus, having to leave home. It was very sad, and she went through. It was a great tumultuous move, and the acting chops there were really something. And no, but I think my mom tells me that it was things like that. I was about 10 when I was kind of got the bug. I was bitten by it. They start clapping, and you feel like, wow, what is happening? And I want more of that. So.
Idina, was it always clear that this was going to be the case?
It was always clear, yeah. I just have a hard time nailing down. I have very vivid memories of my grandpa Nathan, who died when I was like 6, but he used to take me to Disney movies. Every Sunday there was a festival kind of thing nearby, and then I'd go home and act out everything behind the couch, and I had this microphone that sort of was a wooden microphone and also a sewing kit or something at the same time. And so I always was doing it, and then in school, and then the Jewish people go up to a place called Brickman's. It's up in the Catskills, and it's kind of like Dirty Dancing. And my parents got rid of me and put me in the day camp. And then we were in the talent show, and we were doing Cats in the Cradle, and I was singing a harmony. And apparently that was astounding that I was singing a pretty harmony. And so all of the parents, paid attention, and I don't know. That's when I just always wanted to do it.
Mm-hmm. And Sutton? Very young age for you, right?
I started dancing when I was 4. Wow. So I remember like my very first ballet recital. I don't think I was very good, but the memory where I feel like it was still part of the same dance company in Augusta, Georgia, and we were doing our Christmas show, and I played an elf, and I was in charge of opening the toy box to let out the toy soldiers, and I realized that if I did certain things, people would laugh, and I stole focus. I didn't know I was stealing focus, but that was when it was all over. My parents were like, "Oh," and then I got in trouble and I was like, "But people are laughing, and it's really fun." And so I was probably like 7.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Jesse?
Gosh. Well, I also came from an acting family, so I was around it a lot, and we went to shows when I was really little. So I don't know if there was a moment, but it's always seemed really like normal to me. I do remember there was my dad was in a production of 1776, and I remember we went to see it. I was very tiny. I think maybe I was 4 or something, and I went with my older brother and sister. And I do remember, I think it was opening night because I remember our parents went to the party and my cousin was babysitting us. But what I remember is we went home and we acted it out, like on our 3 twin beds, and we were and then we heard them come home and we thought we were going to get in so much trouble because we were still up. But then of course they came into the room and just were laughing because their children were acting out a play about men in Congress, and it's like, how could we reprimand them? Exactly. Oh, our children, like that kind of thing.
So I wonder, for folks who have done extensive work in those other mediums that are available to you, what is it that, I think, first of all, the pay is certainly probably better outside, with film and television. The hours are probably potentially a little easier.
A lot worse.
A lot worse in television?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so, but
No, 8 a week is easy. Don't let anybody kid you.
really? Well, okay, so let's stick to the money. What,
I disagree.
I was going to say, so, for those of you who have done that, what is it then that brings you back to the theater?
Because there's nothing like live theater. There's something very exciting that happens. It is, I think, 8 shows a week is the hardest thing I've ever done, especially being a singer. I think it's a 24/7 job. Every day I wake up in the morning and I'm like assessing. I'm constantly worrying about doing the show. But there's nothing like performing live. Our theater has 750 seats, so there's 750 people. There's about 20 of us on stage, and it's this shared experience for an hour and 45 minutes every night, and it's powerful, and there's energy, and it's alive, and it's exciting, and it's instant gratification, or instant emotions. It's like this thing you can touch and feel. It's
and the consistency in being in such an inconsistent, erratic industry or profession. The idea of going to the office all the time, for me, it's like that's my home base,
Yeah.
A dressing
room
we show
feels
up,
like home,
and that's
yeah.
some kind of common place, a foundation. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
but
I'm
there's something about that,
Yeah.
constantly going back there, that makes me feel at home and more at peace than being in LA and wondering what billboard I'm not a part of as we drive by.
So if somebody said to any of you, define yourself as an actress, would you each say that you see yourself first and foremost as a theater actress?
No.
No.
No, because I think the categories are ridiculous. Because when I came back to the theater, I wanted to get that TV off of the front of my actress, TV actress Tyne Daly. I'd won all these prizes and stuff, but I think that if you can figure out how to be used everywhere, I've done everything there is to do in the theater, except in the acting business, even radio. Trying to think of what I haven't done any commercials, but I like to imagine that I could work anywhere, in the movies, in the television, But the thing about theater is it's alive instead of frozen. Anything on film is frozen, including this conversation. It can be cut up, or I like the immediacy of the day. And the other thing I really like is that I get to learn my job.
Yeah.
To actually learn my job from beginning to end, to start the story at the beginning and go to the end,
And
rather than doing it in bits and pieces,
Yes.
and inside of that you get to experiment and fool around and not fool around, but try things. Whereas in film, even the big movies, you're making up that day's work, and it's going to last for a couple of 38 seconds or 2 minutes or maybe 4 minutes of a scene that's going to go somewhere in the story, and you are not, you don't have the advantage of knowing your job and telling that story. Your turn.
No, I'm thinking how in this digitized age that we live in, how important the theater really becomes, because it is interactive. It's interactive in a way that from the beginning that is still organic, you know, because every night, I know it's everyone's experience, that you feel the people who are talking to you most of the time while you're on the stage or eating or, you know, doing something.
Like, I
but
see
there,
you.
and I see you, you know,
M&Ms.
but it's interactive, and I'm hoping that it still is bigger, that it gets bigger, that it doesn't die, we weren't talking about dying, but I'm just saying that this, for me, the theater, as opposed to a film or a movie where, you know, you're very insulated and alone, that it's something about it that becomes our last vibrant frontier, that it's still something that you can plug into and remain anonymous and leave. You know what I mean?
We can't fake either.
You can't, no.
Our talent is like what we, you know,
one
Jessie
take.
just came to the show to see me. I didn't know, thank God, because that would have made me nervous. And she came Wednesday night, and I just was getting back from having been very sick. And you know, we're up there doing our thing, you know, no matter how we feel
good or not, or whether
and trying to navigate through all that. And
You can't fix it or fix it in post or
yeah, no,
can't.
You're like,
No
no,
CGI.
just what it is.
no auto-tune, you know.
You know, and I think people that love the craft of acting, I'm not speaking for everybody, but a lot of people that I know love theater acting because it is about that. It is about the craft and upkeeping and technique and whatever you use to get through. But I want to make the point of, you know, you said you made your comeback from having done television, whether you needed to do that or not. But is there a pressure if you want to keep doing theater, to eventually get a little television so that you can keep being valuable at the box office? You know, I would like to do TV or film more. To switch it up, you know, as an actor, to try do different things and stretch myself, but also I don't want to always feel like it's necessary. We have a lot of our best actors in this country doing a little television on the side to support their theater habit, right? You know, because you can't make a living, or you can't get hired because you're not going to sell the tickets unless you have a name like in Hollywood, you know. So that's an interesting thing. It's not just about the craft of it, it's also about the business model of it.
And how do you guys feel when people who are primarily established as film and television actors come to work on Broadway? It's happening more and more, it seems, and some of them are terrific. I mean, Denzel, nobody could argue that he's not doesn't belong there. But at the same time, I've heard from a lot of theater actors that they feel that it's harder to sort of, you almost feel boxed out of the opportunities. Is that, where do you guys fall on this debate? I mean, it's kind of interesting.
I know. It is. It's like you're going to piss somebody off no matter
Yeah.
what you say.
Yeah.
Almost. It's kind of like you were saying before, though. Talent is talent.
Talent is
You know what I
talent.
mean? Like, you can have. You can't. I think if you look at it on the broad spectrum, you're always going to get into trouble. You have to look at the person attacking the job, taking on the role. I haven't seen Raisin in the Sun yet, but all I hear is that Denzel is amazing. I wouldn't judge him because he's a movie actor. You know what I mean? I would go and see the performance and see what I think. Right. And God bless him that he can come do this and he can, you know what I mean, be the box office draw and do what they need to do to make the show happen. But
Well, this goes back to the beginning of your other question, which was what draws you or whatever. It's his heart. This is his first love. So he said he will always do theater. He will always try.
And I guess it does come down to how seriously, you know, the people take it. It's not just I mean, I was very impressed recently. I just came across a little fact that James Franco, in addition to doing Of Mice and Men 8 shows a week, is going back on Monday to teach a class in LA and then coming back to.
Masterclass.
I mean, it's unbelievable. So I guess if you're serious about it, it's doesn't matter where you come from.
I think
but-
that starts to be very apparent who's serious about their craft. And the minute that happens, there's a lot of relaxing. People, oh, they're good at what they love it, they put their heart into it, get off their backs. But there's always going to be we're going to do a musical here, but then they're going to make a movie musical and use all Hollywood actors.
Right,
if we're upset about that, we can't be angry about a play here and bringing some, because everybody, if they want to do it, they belong doing it. They should be
I'll
able
say again,
to do
the
it.
category thing is ridiculous. You should be able to apply your talent wherever you get to apply it.
Yeah.
I spent some time in cabaret for a couple of years, and I realized what it was really about was a study for doing Maria Callas for Terrence McNally, because I'd been 45 years building the fourth wall, and I did practice breaking the fourth wall to do that. But I got into a place where people, even if they objected, I didn't care. But to decide that you don't belong someplace is silly. Every actor insists on their own career, and I think you can insist it upon it anywhere you can find to do work. The best of what's available, we used to say. Just go give it a try. I think the categories are deeply silly, if not actually damaging.
Yeah.
When you say categories, you mean
Yeah,
television
TV actor,
TV
movie
Right.
actor, singer, actor, singer.
The more you do, the better
Musical
you become.
theater,
So
straight
we should
theater,
be able to do
the
everything.
way they try to divide things.
Yeah, try and pinpoint where you
It
belong.
makes it easier for someone, I'm sure, to put things in a column, but
Oh,
for the
sure.
people actually
Probably.
doing it, it's not very helpful.
Well, let's hone in now on the roles for which you're nominated, and just sort of how it first came to your attention and what appealed to you about it. I think they're all great roles. So that beyond that, what appealed to you about it? So Jesse, can you tell us about Carole King? How did that first come along?
Well, I do remember the little photo of her that popped up on Playbill.com one day, and then they said they're going to do a musical about Carole King, and I, now in retrospect, I remember sort of clocking that and saying that would be interesting. That seems like the most Broadway thing you could ever do. I wonder if that would work. I wonder if it could work. And then I think even now I'm fascinated by it, because to me, it's sort of a story of a woman who never wanted to become a star. And she did, and I find that fascinating. I find it fascinating.
Kelly, Francesca, what was the origin story
I
there?
know somebody like that. And that's why I love you. I loved, first of all, when a composer and a book writer come to you and say, we're going to write something for you, but they didn't necessarily write it just for me. The music is definitely written in the way I like to sing, and I encourage that, and he wrote it, and it's amazing. But the character Marcia wanted to write, Marcia Norman, was very much a voice that she wanted to have resounding across the world. This strong woman who had choices and was better for the choices that she made. And that is something that taught me. I knew that I wanted to do this kind of play with music idea, this stronger woman, this... I wanted to be trying something like that to show a different side of myself, talking about stretching yourself. And it's still a musical, so people get lost in what that means. But I really saw this as a play with music, one where a person has a journey and something to help to teach people about something. But in turn, it taught me about a lot of things. My nights were filled with these cathartic experiences of my past and my present and my future, having nothing to do with a love affair, having to do with everything but that, having to do with who my grandmother was and was she really happy, and the chances I have to be happy and how grateful I am about that, and what it might feel like to lose my husband or my... When you are in a play like that and you can have a journey, like you may only get one in your life, but that was kind of the most fulfilling ride I've taken in a long time. So it was amazing to me.
And Ty and Catherine and Terrence McNally's Mothers and Sons. What was you've known him for quite a while,
A
right?
little while. Not 5 years, maybe.
Yeah.
I've known about him for a very long time. I have to say one thing, just
Please.
sidebar.
Yep.
Which is, I remember when I first met the first person that I knew was more talented than me, which was shocking. In freshman year in college, and she was a wonderful actress, and she didn't want it. She wanted to go and do something quite else, but she was doing work in college, and I stage managed a production of hers when she played Hedda Gabler. And her not being so needy for it, freed her up to just be fabulous. Do not think of not. It's interesting. Ambitious people and less ambitious people. Sorry. Okay. Mothers and Sons. It was a commissioned play because of the guy that was running the Bucks County Playhouse, and they were looking for a new play. And Terrence and I had a really good experience with Masterclass, and so ostensibly it's written for me. But what I love about it is that it's so timely. It's about now instead of then. It's about what's happened to our society in 20 years in terms of the political subject. Beyond that, it's about love and passion and betrayal and anger and all those big kind of Greek things, you know, like Masterclass is. It's about big things, including, I'm bad at sound bites, have you noticed? But do you know how people deal with grief? Some people take a hit in their life and they lie down on the floor and they can't get up again. And other people take a similar loss or hit to their lives that they didn't expect, and they figure out how to go on. So on base, it's about a man who's figured out how to continue his life, and a woman who's not. She's an amber. She's frozen. She has a heart like a fist, and so that big idea about how do we deal with tragedy or disappointment is interesting to me.
LaTanya, Lena Younger is a role that has been played before by Claudia McNeil, got a nomination for playing it. Subsequently Felicia Rashad won for the same role. There's a great, rich tradition of Claudia McNeil also in the film version. Is it daunting to step into a role like that? How did you hear about it, and did you have any reservations or?
I had reservations for all of 5 minutes, and I stepped into it. You know, I wasn't looking for it. I was shopping, and a call came while I was in the store to say we're having an issue here, and someone's not going to continue, so we need to replace it, and I need to do it. Now that was a Saturday. I came up on a Friday for the weekend from Atlanta. Stan was shooting a movie there, and I came up for the weekend, and I saw Denzel's wife on Friday night at Joe's Pub, and Saturday I'm out shopping. I was going to see Janis Joplin Saturday night, and I got a call from Kenny and Denzel. So the next thing I knew, Saturday night, I had 2 stage managers in my apartment with these 2 huge binders, and one was locking and one was, and so I was like, wait, and then I looked quickly and said, 147 pages. Oh God, what have I said yes to? And I actually had called Sam and said, they want me to do Raisin. Didn't you just do Raisin? He said, no, it was 10 years ago. So it came to me that way. It was a miracle of serendipity. It was, just something, and I think that I was concerned in the beginning because I had no prep time, That was a Saturday. They were off on Sunday. I was in rehearsal on Monday. So it was nothing that was, planned on my part to be a part of. But it has been the biggest and the best gift that I could have ever been given. And the story itself is so timely. Lorraine Hansberg, oh, God bless her, she wrote this in the 50s. She was 27 years old. She died when she was 34. And the themes that she tackles then, and as an African-American woman, colored then, I can't imagine that she was talking about abortion and energy when she's saying that the bombs that they're dropping is affecting the weather. She wrote this in the 50s. I can't imagine that she took a woman, it was such a feminist view, and imbued her with all of these characters in Beneatha, who was obviously her, to have things come out of her mouth that Black people don't say. She said there is no God. It's an idea that people attach themselves to for whatever reason to get through, but the dreams are getting deferred on every level. So what is God doing? These are not things that a normal person says. She was brilliant. She was just genius in it. And for him, for Denzel, who's playing Walter Lee, he takes this part. I told somebody else, when you come into the theater, you're asked to believe. You're stepping through a door, of mirrors anyway. So for him not to be, quote unquote, the age that, everybody think he's older, the sadder part is that this is still happening. This is still occurring in men his age. So whatever age he is, he's still having to go through this arrested development, this life that's less than, because of where he's living and the conditions of our society. So Lena is mama, and with Terrence's play, and like any play where the mama is there are certain characteristics that you just know. So I was able to, homogenize a lot of people that I know. I had a great mom, so you take those things along with you and you try to figure it out, because I had to figure it out. Trust me, I came in 3 weeks late. I was trying to figure it out on so many levels, and being by myself in New York, untethered from my husband and his job. I'm like, wait, me? Really? And I love acting, and I love the theater, and I love the people around me, but if it was not for all the great actors in that play, God knows where I would be, That's how it happened for me, and it's still happening. All of this right now that's happening is just, I'm almost afraid to look at it, because it's like, just don't look, just myopic view, tone through and just tone through. So.
Thank you. And Adina, it's been a few years since you were last on Broadway. How did this come together with If Then?
It's a reunion of sorts. It's the producer from Wicked, who I love very much, and the director from Rent, and we just wanted to work together so badly through the years, and just trying to find something. And they had an outline with Tom Kitt and Brian Yorkie, real embryo of an idea, and just sort of all had lunch and dinner, and I just, I had a baby. I was out in LA. I was, doing some concerts and stuff, and just I really wanted to find something original. It's just what's worked for me, and like I say, I think it's the easier route for the actor, because they write everything for you, and there you are, and you don't know where the beginning and the end is, the chicken or the egg. It's not the easier route for the people who are creating it, but it's just the most beautiful process to be called in to one of these amazing composers, homes, and they say they just had this idea, and what do you think? And maybe that song never even emerges, 3-4 years later, but or maybe a verse of it does, and just to be a part of their artistic process, to be invited into that, what I think is such a sacred space, is an honor. And it doesn't, I've been very lucky, but there are plenty other readings that I've been a part of that haven't come to fruition, and we all know what that is. And I just, it's just important to me to kind of put out the word about the respect and that I have for those people that are willing to take those risks and create something from scratch.
Yeah. And Sudden Violet was never sort of planned to be what it became, right? Just one night thing originally, right?
Yeah, we originally started as a one night only concert over the summer. Yeah. And I had, after Anything Goes, which was the last, back in 2011, I was sort of experiencing some burnout, and just ended up going to LA to film a television series, and really was loving my life out there, and decided to come back because Janine called me, Janine Tesori, the composer of Violet, and said, I want you to do this one night. I was like, perfect. I can remind people that I'm still alive and that I still exist, and I haven't left forever. And so I came back to do the concert, and it just became very clear that it was something very special. And I remember as soon as we were done, I was like, we have to. This can't. Like we have to do it. We have to keep going. Something has to happen. And it took a while, but I wasn't actively looking for something to come back to New York with, but it felt perfect. And especially after Anything Goes, which was sort of the biggest, broadest, wildest character I've ever played, to play something that's the complete antithesis, and to be in a show that's so simple, and there's no set. We're all on stage. You know, it's just been a gift and a miracle.
So with our remaining few minutes, I want to do something kind of fun, which is a rapid fire round. Just the first thing that comes to your mind.
You're going to say rap, and I was like, okay. I'm out.
I'll see you later.
So, rap your answers.
Weirdest thing in your dressing room.
Weirdest?
Yeah. Most unexpected. Let's put it that way.
Unexpected. Guys, I'm fired. Unexpected thing in my dressing room.
Anyone can jump in.
Yes,
And we'll
please
go around.
jump
Anyone
in.
jump in.
Breast pumps.
Okay. That's a good one.
I have velociraptors climbing up my pretty orchids.
Oh, that's nice.
That's good.
I used to have a picture of Patrick Dempsey while you peed, which I thought was a nice thing to look at.
Nice. Oh, I did have a copy of Rob Lowe's new book, which was sort of gifted, re-gifted. That was odd for a while. And then I started passing it around the theater. I heard it's really good.
I haven't read it either.
That's something I would normally come across.
I'm odd. Is it pretty spare?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Two bathrooms.
That's good.
All right, now.
See, I have to go in the hall to
Person whose attendance at your
what's
show.
your weirdest thing in
Wait, you did, yeah.
Oh, sorry, Ty, I'm sorry.
it's a cookie jar that's made out of a pile of Oreos that was a gift. There's nothing in it.
There's no Oreos? No Oreos?
No, there wasn't anything in it, but it's kind of silly looking.
I love it.
Person whose attendance at your show has meant the most to you. I think this one you don't have to probably hesitate.
Yeah, what
to,
if I
but-
said something else? That would be, yes, Miss King stopped by one night.
Okay.
That was pretty cool.
Okay.
Don't go around that.
My dad.
Your dad. Barack.
That's so cool.
You say your dad?
My father came to
Okay.
the opening.
Awesome.
That was pretty huge.
I mean, yeah, like Jessica was
Yeah.
there. It was a big deal. Hugh Jackman was there. And,
That's cool.
it's not Barack.
I know you know, right?
Most, well, Kelly, you want to say anything? You got
Oh, probably my voice teacher from home, who's old. When my parents got her up here in a wheelchair, and she got to come.
I'm waiting on my teacher to come. I'd love my teacher to come.
Yes.
He's very old now. But I've gotten to the place where, you know, they say, do you want to hear if somebody's in the audience or not? I always want to hear because I figure that's somebody to do the play for. I don't get
That's
scared
good.
by
That's a
I think
good attitude.
if you're coming, then I can have
it's
somebody else to play for.
I get really weirded out.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Well,
pre-
put
I
in
wanna get
another
to that
30 to 40
point.
years,
Yeah,
honey,
yeah.
you'll be fine.
pre-show routine or superstition?
I used to have a lot of superstitions, but then I would get neurotic if I missed something. So then I went, I have no superstitions. But I know, I don't really have anything.
I think I've
Purposefully.
prayer. Yeah. That seems to be actually a common.
I think actors are good at ritual. So there's this sort of order of where the brushes are and the stuff, and the
Yeah.
order and what you put your face on. At least theater actors, there's a kind of time where you're doing this ritual thing. But I did have to yell at somebody yesterday because we share an alley with 4 theaters, and there was a whistler in the alley. And I said, please desist from whistling near my theater. I said, I in my most important voice, desist. I have to desist. Please desist. Whoever's whistling out there, desist. It's hilarious.
And I bet they saw it.
Okay.
They did
So what you do during intermission?
I don't have an intermission.
No intermission. That's right. That's right.
But I have 6 minutes to pee.
That's
That's
when you're
very-
off.
that's very important.
That's important.
Is that your only pee break?
Yes.
Yeah, I only have.
I hear you.
The rest of you, any exciting intermission?
Mine's just getting monotonous. I pump.
Yeah.
That's
So
it's just getting
She's in
old.
the midst. No, totally.
What do you do during your off day?
Oh, we do this.
Lately?
We do this.
You're looking at
This isn't even your off day, though. That's why we're so happy.
If we really had an off day.
Yeah, right.
No such thing.
We all get together and we
Kids in the
knit.
country.
We were talking earlier, the 8-show-week number. If you could make that number something you'd be happier with, what would that number be?
I'd take 7. I'm
I
not
would
gonna
take
lie.
7 too.
Yeah. I mean, I was
I
going
think
to go
2 is
6.
enough.
I was going to say 5.
I was thinking 6. I didn't think it was politically
I mean,
correct. to
even if you
say.
said 7 and you got 2 whole days off, 2 whole days and 2 whole nights.
2 whole
Like,
days
get
would
things
be-
done one
life would
day.
be different.
And then
Rest
like
of
to
the
actually
days.
have a weekend.
Yes.
2 in one day is just really
It's hard.
really
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
It's really.
It doesn't allow for
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to just.
But I would,
you're
I would
exhausted,
do
whether
2
it's
in one
emotional or
day
physically.
If I got 2 whole days and 2 whole nights. In
Oh,
back to
you would
back.
do 2.
If I had to do it, I would do 2 in one day just to get the break, the complete time off.
But in the West, we
Then
used
you
to do
could
the
go
5-show
there.
marathon, right? Friday to Saturday to Sunday,
Right.
Yes.
which is tough, but you did get
Usually that's what you do a lot.
Yeah.
And then you get Monday and Tuesday off.
I don't know, Wednesdays beat me up because we have an early curtain on Wednesday, so
That's
the
right.
space in between is harder.
But like Sunday feels so. Well, we only have one on Sunday, and
Yeah.
that is just compared to Wicked and other things we've done, where it's just like in and out. You
It's
know,
heaven.
One and
You get a
done.
longer morning and then you
Yeah.
get the whole night.
Yeah, Sunday's good.
Okay, last few. Most annoying thing that audience members sometimes do.
Eat.
The eating is
the
very
packaging.
strange. I literally the other night, and our stage, the front row, I could like touch them with my foot. And there was a girl on the front row eating a thick bag of peanut M&Ms, and I was like, gosh, that bag is really large, and she's not stopping. And I can hear it, and I'm looking at her, and she's looking at me, and her mom's going like, oh, she's looking at you, and she's literally eating the M&Ms.
One by one.
I
One by
can
one,
see
'cause
you,
that's
and
better.
I can
I
hear
have a
you.
theory. I have a
Yeah.
theory about it
Yeah.
because I did this once where they start right when I started my first very quiet moment. It started to open. I looked down at her. She's staring at me. Here's what happens. I think, and this is my theory, and Steven said I was wrong. They do it on purpose because then they become part of our show. You take them in.
You think?
And then, well, this is just my theory. If you some of
They
them,
think they're
if
in
you
the
take them in
Yeah.
and give them time, they're all this. They're part of your process.
I have
Isn't
one.
that a shame? Because they
Please.
should know when they sit down they're a part of our process.
How about the chain of coughing that happens?
Yes, if someone
Especially
coughs,
now.
someone else coughs.
Everybody starts coughing. It's like the weirdest thing.
Right?
Especially right now because the colds have been going around.
Because
but I've
it's
noticed-
somebody's a bunch
It's
of
a
people are
thing.
holding
It like
in, so the
reminds
first
people
person
that they should cough.
does
Like,
it.
Our
Yeah.
set, juts out into the audience, so you're right.
You're in
you can
there.
touch your toe right
Yeah.
there too.
Yeah.
And this guy was on the front row with his. This is our famous one, the cell phone, because initially there was no announcement in our theater about the cell phones.
Oh, right.
He said. No, I'm in front of him right now. He's standing in front of me right now. Wait, look. And I'm like sitting in this chair looking at him saying, okay, aren't you gonna say something? Aren't you gonna like say, put that shit down? And it was just, she said, I heard him, I didn't know what he was talking. I said, no, I heard exactly. He's right here in front of me.
I used to sit right on the edge of the stage in Nice Work if you can get it like right like this. And she knows because she played the role too. And all of a sudden one day, and there's a guy in
Nobody
the
ever did this to me,
And
but
then
they did
this
to
is
you.
what I see.
No.
Flash. He was an older man. I don't think he knew. But I was like, you're kidding me. I watched it slow motion. And I was like,
What did you say?
And then the person that sits in the front row that sleeps. Like, I get it. Like sometimes
tired, come to
if
the
you're
theater.
too tired
Turn
and
it
you're in
off.
the theater, the lights go down.
lights go
But if you're in the first row, remove yourself. I can see you. I can see
Let
you.
me ask you guys about one that I wonder if you probably may have mixed feelings about this one. Entrance applause. How do we feel about that?
I didn't want it on this one
Yeah.
because it was such a moment of like storytelling,
Yeah.
to come down and start this journey. So we tried to either build it or like it was almost like I was begging for it because I'm walking downstage. And actually I said to Bart, because they did it in Williamstown with the girl who, when I was pregnant, she stood in for me, and it was Williamstown, so they didn't do that. And when we started the rehearsal process, and I said, this kind of is asking, and he goes, what? Oh, that's bad. Like some people actually choreograph it in. Kathleen Marshall does sometimes, which is a smart thing, then it's over with.
Right.
If it happens. And it happens more on musicals, I don't know. But this time you don't know how to stop it, and then it gets in the way, and then it's
Well, it's a strange
uncomfortable.
thing because you realize they're applauding for you.
You, not your
Exactly. So
character.
it's kind of odd. Like we have I just literally stand and the lights come on.
But you
and I'm
can't
just
smile
standing there,
and
I'm not
take it
smiling.
in.
Oh, but
Yeah.
I have another one from the other
Yeah,
thing.
please.
So this is my favorite. So the lights come on and I'm standing there and I play a very, I'm waiting for a bus. I'm standing there and I have sort of just a face on, and I heard someone in the audience go, "Smile."
I'm telling them this tonight.
So, it's unbelievable.
The show's for you.
Right.
You're like, just wait.
I'm going to show you why I didn't smile.
That's an odd thing. I don't know where I weigh in on that because I don't like it.
The entrance
It breaks,
applause, yeah.
it breaks the moment.
It does break the moment.
Because it's you, not your character,
Right.
and
Yeah.
you're trying to be in that moment. you know?
I've had 3 great entrances. One is Rose's entrance, which initially was a surprise because she enters from the back and walks through the audience. But now that it's a codified play, the entire audience is like this
Yeah,
to
right.
watch you come in. But that's a built-in. That's a built-in to cover the entrance hand. With Masterclass, it starts with Maria comes on the stage, and we had a genius thing from my director, which was I would stand there and wait for the applause to be completely over, which is tough, before she says, "No applause." Which became the first really good joke. That's awesome. She's an egoistic, she's an opera singer. This one, we have a similar thing where the 2 characters are looking out at a great expanse of view. And I said to Fred, we have to wait till it's over and then wait longer so that we know that that's the beginning of the play. So we wait for the thing it's going to be there, right? And then it dies, and then you have to wait another very harrowing 5-10 seconds before you know that these folks are looking out at a vista. So it's,
I won't lie.
it depends on what I say is it depends on the show.
I won't lie. I don't mind it. It's just like I've been working my ass off for a really long time, and it feels good to come on stage in a musical and have people know who I am.
I don't think I mind it when it's with Francesca. She's somber. Like it's this moment. It's like you. It's like, and then when they do clap, you don't take it in because you're
can't, 'cause you have to
Francesca.
stay.
So that then it's musicalized, and so it gets a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And you can hear it, but she doesn't. I mean, I can. I'm seldom aware of the
That's
audience.
kinda how it is.
So when they say, "Did you hear that cell phone go off?" I think, well, I did, but
Right.
Catherine didn't.
Right. What do you hope people leave your show thinking or doing differently above all else? If you can, in a sentence or 2, the thing that you hope people will leave your show thinking or doing differently than when they came into it, what you want them to take away from it above all else. Time?
That they've been moved. I don't care which direction,
Yeah.
but I want
They
them to
felt
be moved.
something. Yeah.
But
Kelly.
there-
I'm sorry.
I
No,
thought you
please.
said-
We'll go.
there's always something left to love.
Thou shalt not judge.
That shall not judge.
Every day is a new opportunity to start your life over again.
Something.
To not, first thing that came to my mind was to not, to look beyond what you see physically in someone else, to realize that there is more to a person than what's always on the outside.
Something along the lines of be brave enough to be kind and to come from love, no matter how hard it becomes. Protect yourself, but be brave enough to do that.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much, and it's been so fun catching up with all of your shows, and can't wait to see what you do next. So thank you.
Thank you.